Welcome to the Galactic Education Consortium's official observation log. Today's entry takes us to a curious little planet in the Sol system, Earth. Our delegation, led by the esteemed Professor Zilthar of the Velian Institute, has arrived at a human educational facility called Maple Grove Elementary School. Professor Zilthar is a leading expert in comparative pedagogy. Having studied the young of 43 different species, she thought she had seen it all. She was wrong. We were positioned at the edge of a designated outdoor area the humans call a playground. The school's principal, a pleasant female named Mrs. Patterson, assured us this 20-minute period, which take all recess or free play, was perfectly safe. This is where the children relax and socialize, she told us cheerfully. It's an important part of their development. Then, a loud bell rang. The school doors burst open, and about 200 human children, aged between 5 and 11, swarmed onto the playground. They let out a collective shriek, a primal scream so loud it caused my colleague, Observer Treen, to retract his auditory membranes in shock. "Why are they screaming?" he asked, his own species communicating through quiet, subsonic vibrations. Mrs. Patterson simply smiled. "They're excited," she said, as if that explained the war cry that had just echoed across the field. What we witnessed next has been flagged for mandatory review and xenopedagogy courses for the next decade. The first activity we observed was something the local teacher identified as tag. About 30 children were engaged in a high-speed pursuit. One child, designated it, would chase the others, attempting to make physical contact. From our perspective, this was clearly a form of pursuit predator training. It built cardiorespiratory endurance, developed spatial awareness, and honed strategic evasion tactics. At times, the children even coordinated, working together as a pack to evade the pursuer. I turned to Mrs. Patterson. "This is hunting practice," I stated slowly. She just laughed. "Oh no," she said. "It's just a game." But our military historian, Observer Crane, was scribbling notes at an incredible pace. "On 17 worlds," he noted, "this exact training module is used for Special Forces pursuit teams. These children are demonstrating advanced flanking maneuvers." Just then, a tiny human girl, no older than 6, executed a perfect feint and reverse move. It was a maneuver that would have impressed tactical instructors across the galaxy. The child who was it was completely fooled. Advanced deception tactics. Kren Mutared, his voice filled with a strange mix of horror and admiration. At age 6. Next, our attention was drawn to a marked court where a more structured activity was underway. The children called it dodgeball. They divided into 2 teams and began hurling soft rubber spheres at each other with truly alarming velocity. Mrs. Patterson explained that the goal was to hit your opponents with the balls while avoiding being hit yourself. Once a child was struck, they were eliminated, and the game continued until only one team remained. My voice climbed an octave. "This is projectile combat training. Primera excla IMD. You're teaching them ballistic trajectory calculation and predictive tracking of multiple fast-moving objects." Mrs. Patterson just kept insisting. "They're just playing," though even she seemed to be losing some of her certainty. We watched as these children prioritized threats, targeting the strongest throwers first. They used each other as cover, and even made calculated sacrifices to eliminate key opponents on the other team. Then we saw Italiano, a boy, maybe 9 years old, was in the center of the chaos. A ball was flying straight for his face. In one fluid motion, he caught the incoming ball with his left hand while simultaneously throwing another ball with his right, eliminating 2 opponents in a single, breathtaking action. Mrs. Patterson beamed with pride. "That's Marcus," she said. "He's very athletic." Observer Creen looked at her, his expression deadpan. "That," he said flatly, "is a combat prodigy. I have seen decorated soldiers with worse hand-eye coordination." Our gaze then shifted to a large metal structure the humans called monkey bars. Here, children were suspending their entire body weight by their hands, swinging from one horizontal bar to the next. "Upper body strength training," I noted, my composure now completely gone. "They're building the muscle groups necessary for climbing, for hanging, and for close quarters combat." Mrs. Patterson's response was weaker this time. "It's good exercise," she managed to say. As we watched it, a small girl fell from the bars, dropping nearly 2 meters to the ground below. She landed, quickly assessed herself for injury, and without a moment's hesitation, got up and climbed right back on to try again. "She just fell from a height that would seriously injure most known species," Observer Trent said, his voice quiet. "And she's trying again." Mrs. Patterson offered a simple explanation. "Kids are resilient," I corrected her. "Death warders are resilient," I said. "This is conditioning. You are conditioning them to ignore pain and persist through failure." Another activity, this one called King of the Hill, required no explanation at all. A group of children was fighting for control of a small dirt mound, a clear elevated position. The objective was brutally simple. Physically remove all other children from the top of the hill and defend your position. This is literally territorial combat. My translator struggled to keep up with my agitation. They're training for high ground advantage scenarios. We watched as alliances formed and broke in seconds. Children pushed, pulled, and wrestled for dominance. Strategies evolved in real time. We saw one clever child circle the mound, attacking from an unexpected angle while everyone else was focused on the frontal assault. "That's Tommy," Mrs. Patterson said. "He's very creative." Observer Cran just breathed. "That's tactical genius. He's 8 years old and he just executed a textbook flanking maneuver. Tenteri was Red Rover." 2 lines of children faced each other, holding hands to form 2 human chains. One team would call out the name of a child from the opposing team. That child would then sprint at full speed, directly at the other team's chain, attempting to break through with sheer brute force. At this point, I didn't even try to analyze. I just stated the facts. "They're practicing breaching formations," Kren added, "and structural integrity under impact stress." Observer Trent chimed in, "and pain tolerance for when the chain doesn't break and they bounce right off." Mrs. Patterson had gone completely silent. She had stopped trying to explain. Finally, we observed what was called imaginative play. In the areas not taken up by these structured games, children were simply playing. But what did that mean? It meant they were pretending to be warriors, monsters, superheroes, and all sorts of other combat-oriented characters. They were engaging in mock battles using sticks, stones, and even their empty hands. Even their unstructured recreation involves combat scenarios, I said, a cold realization dawning on me. A 5-year-old girl, who declared herself a ninja princess, executed a spinning kick that our sensors registered as generating measurable force. "Where did she learn that?" Trin asked. Mrs. Patterson shrugged. "Probably television, or her older brother, or YouTube. Kids pick things up." Kren's conclusion was chilling. "They're training each other," he said. "Peer-to-peer combat instruction during recreational periods. It's horrifyingly brilliant." Just then, the bell rang again, signaling the end of recess. The chaos instantly ceased. The children, sweaty, dirty, and some with minor cuts and scrapes that none of them seemed to notice, lined up with surprising discipline. They marched back into the school building as if they had just completed a full-scale military training exercise. Mrs. Patterson turned to us, her cheerful demeanor returning. "So," she said brightly, "would you like to observe their physical education class next? They're doing gymnastics today." Our official report to the Galactic Education Consortium was concise. What humans classify as recreational play is functionally identical to military combat training used by at least 17 different galactic military organizations. We concluded that human children, from ages 5 to 11, engage in daily activities that develop pursuit tactics, projectile combat proficiency, pain tolerance, strategic adaptation, and competitive dominance. Most disturbingly, the adults do not recognize this as training. They genuinely believe it's fun. Our recommendation was unanimous. Maintain Earth's Class 12 Death World classification. And a personal note from me, Professor Zilthar. I observed a 6-year-old execute a tactical maneuver I didn't learn until officer training school. We need to reevaluate everything we thought we knew about this species. They call it playing. No wonder their adults are so terrifying. Thanks for tuning into our observation log. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more reports from across the galaxy. Stay safe out there.